Good morning. As you can see, we are not in Austin's Hot Rod Garage. We're down here on the water working on a yacht today. Check this thing out, see if I can get a shot here. It's a 34-foot Bayliner that's got twin 5.7s in it. If you watch my YouTube shorts, you'd see I posted a video recently where I pulled the motor out of this thing waterborne. So proof, there's the water right there. Down in the marina, it's raining today, which is great. So this is the one I pulled, and then it's got a twin brother or sister sitting right there. So time for a quick story time. Actually, real quick, I will now insert the video of me pulling that motor. Don't have much, but here you go. Beep. Hope you enjoyed that. So that was, I built a little, wood hoist that spanned from here to over there and had a little beam in between here with a chain fall going down to pick that motor up, separated it from the V-drive and pulled it out. So the quick story time update here is essentially the motor went bad that was in this boat. The boat owner paid somebody to go put a new long block in it. And when they put it together, it caused a gross transmission leak. This has a V-drive in it for the transmission. Just how boats work. They take it and spin a motor around to where it's facing backwards and then change the direction so the prop can spin the right way. So it was leaking insanely. So he brought me in to go separate the motor from the V-drive and fix that leak in the V-drive. Now the problem lies in this motor hadn't ran in, I don't even know, 4 to 6 months or something before I got involved. So the boat ran after getting the new motor in it. It was dieseling at shut off and not running right. Timing was off and all sorts of weird stuff from the sounds of it. And they basically parked the boat for extended period of time and it sat, and then he started doing disassembly on it, and then I step in. So the motor hadn't started in months, which is a problem because now where we're at is I've separated it, fixed what I believe was the leak from the V-drive, and now the boat won't start and it's got no spark. So I did some testing on it the other night, and I've got spark from the coil to the distributor, and then I lose spark going to the actual plugs. So that tells me it's most likely either the pickup in the distributor as this goes by. This is like a 96 5.7. I think the boat's a 97, 1996 that is. So it's a weird year, you're going from small block 350 to Vortec before LS stuff has really started, and so ignition stuff specifically really started to change throughout these couple of years. My boat was a 2001 that I did a motor in, and it was a 5.7 as well. And mine had like a crank trigger, no distributor, but it had like a dummy shaft you dropped in the distributor hole, and then timing is all electronically controlled. And then it had individual port injection, not quite true like LS, but it was very in between of like TBI to LS series. So technically, I guess you'd call it like Vortec era. Now this one is before that, so it still has a distributor, no crank trigger, but it does have some electronic ignition stuff in it. So let me bring you in here and I'll show you what I pulled the other night. So it's got two brains on this thing. So this is the ignition control module. So you have essentially, you have your coil and your distributor wires tie into this and then back into the coil. And then you have this, which is the knock sensor. So they changed quite a bit in GM products over the years. So this one, I've never seen this one before. And then like in my boat, it went to like a knock sensor that's down on it'd be like the right hand side of the motor down at the bottom. And then LS series obviously went to the plate under the intake. So it changed quite a bit over the years. The cool thing is these parts are no longer made. So that's really cool. Bring you in there so you can see the numbers. They're kind of Mercruiser specific. There's some GM stamping and stuff on them right there, but these parts you cannot get. The knock sensor I think you can find. This ignition control module I think you could find one used for like $500. So that's kind of a pain. And it was getting late, it was getting dark, so I didn't really get to fully dive into it and see was it the pickup in the distributor or this. I did some quick checks and had some voltage coming out of the distributor, so I made the assumption it was most likely this, based on the fact that it was dieseling and running rough. When it was working, made me think, hey, this ignition control module is supposed to control timing on this. Weird deal. I'm not entirely sure how it all works because you still have a distributor. So there's no timing marks on the harmonic balancer or the crank pulley, no timing pointer. So I'll have to figure out how you go set initial timing on this, or somebody can comment down below who's an expert on this stuff and tell me. Hopefully you know, because I sure as heck don't. So it could just be the distributor so far out of time that this doesn't have enough like advance or retard in it to make up the difference. But where that takes me at today is the boat owner doesn't want to just go spend the $500 on the replacement part, especially it being used, because who knows if it's even really good coming off of eBay. Now the other option is you can go throw like a modern day HEI in it, or you can buy like a retrofit kit which changes all this, which means you got to go cut all the plugs off of the boat side and rewire a lot of it, which would suck because there isn't a ton of room to get in there and go do everything. So for the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably crawl back in there, put those back in, and then I'm gonna pull the pickup probably out of the other distributor from the twin and put it into this motor. And if it works, then I know that that's the part that's bad and we need to go replace it. And if that doesn't work, then I'll swap the ignition control modules between the two and know that that's the part. So doing some process elimination here on the last two steps instead of going and trying to like pin them out and read the ohm readings from each tab and see if they're right. This will be a surefire way to know, yep, that's the part. Now, before we get going on that, what I wish the boat owner would have done originally is started this up before we started on it. So that way I would have known, hey, it wasn't from I didn't reconnect something when I mated the motor back to the V drive. It's just it has an issue at the same time that this was all happening, which is what I believe to be true because I have power to the coil and everything else. So we're going to fire up the port motor first, make sure it works before I start cannibalizing parts off of it. So I've never started this boat, so it's going to be a little bit of a process. We'll go through it here and figure it out. Turn the water valve on here so it's got water going to the motor. As you can hear, I got the blower running so that way I can run out some of the fumes. Just boat stuff, you know. Hit the ignition. And you can hear we got a running motor on that side. So we'll go ahead and shut this down, and now we can start cannibalizing parts. Well, I apologize to you. Most of this is not in a spot where you can really see what I'm doing because I'm laying on top of 4 batteries here, reaching back to where all the ignition stuff is. What I'm doing right now is trying to look. I hastily the other night found a ground wire from the distributor that was broken off and threw it to the negative side of the coil. And the more I've thought about that, the more I'm going to change it and ground it to the motor. Now, do I think that that's going to fix it? Probably not, but boy, would it be cool if it was something that simple and I could be done. So I'm trying to break my wrist here and reach down to the nut on the coil. Oh, baby, go! So that's about the extent of like the wrenching you can kind of see without me like laying my camera here down into the bilge, which I'd rather not do because I might not retrieve it, you know. And bilge goblins, those are a thing, right? It's never the simple thing. That's on, so now I'm going to lay back down there where you won't be able to see, but trust me, I'm putting the knock sensor back on and grounding all the stuff together. Okay, so you guys are going to do me a favor and help me here. So I've got this test light hooked up to the like what should be the pickup trigger wire from the distributor, and I am going to go crank it, and you guys are going to watch that, and you're going to tell me if it flashes as the distributor is rotating, and if it does, that'll tell me it's good. If it doesn't, it'll tell me it's bad. Okay, now I'm connected to the other distributor wire. This is a dummy first check myself. This one should always be hot, which it is right now because the light's on. But let's see if it blinks. Okay, so we saw it like lose some voltage and get a little dimmer, but neither wire is flashing. So I'm gonna say the pickup in the distributor is most likely what's bad, which is unfortunate because now I'm gonna end up pulling that, and then we'll probably have to go pull the one out of the other distributor since I don't have one with me, and go pop it in just to go make sure I'm right. Well, I got updates here, but first let me show you the little shop chuck we're running around in today. 2000 GMC Sonoma. And it's slammed 4 inches. Sorry, I about got ran over by a Tesla there. Anyways, there she is. Lowered 4 inches, torque thrust, drop spindles, drop springs, flip kit in the back. Anyways, just wanted to show you because I haven't really put it on the channel at all. So as you saw by the test light stuff, I think that pickup in the distributor is bad. Surprisingly, a parts house here, local, a couple of miles down the road, had one in stock, so I went down and snagged that instead of cannibalizing the one out of the other distributor first and making more work for myself. So now we're doing the long walk in the rain back down to the boat, and we'll go throw this bad boy in the distributor and see if it works. Well, there we go. Pickup in the distributor fixed it, and it fires right up. Well, I'm here in the little truck basically taking out the kids' retirement funds to fill it up in gas here in Washington State, where it's like $5.20 a gallon right now for regular. And I wanted to explain, I realized I probably didn't explain too well of how I got to where I got, of why it was the pickup in the distributor. So essentially, I had put the motor back together and it had power at the coil, and then the main plug wire that goes from the coil to the distributor had power at it. So it had 12 volts of ignition, but I had no spark at the plugs. On any of the plugs, right? So now it's not getting from into the distributor to out of the distributor to the plugs, which told me there's two things in between there stopping spark from happening, and it's either that black box ignition control module, which I showed you, or the pickup in the distributor. And you got to remember, this is like a 1996 Mercruiser GM product, and in the 90s those pickups in the distributors were known for going bad, and so that was why we tested the red and white wire, which is power, had 12 volts, where you saw the test light stayed lit, dimmed a little bit on cranking from voltage drop, and then the green and white wire, which is the signal wire, wasn't producing any power. So that meant it wasn't sparking. It should have been flashing every time it was picking up that signal as the rotor passed the pickup, which it was not doing, so we replaced it, fired right up. So thanks for watching. Get out and get your old boat running. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. Thanks, guys and gals.